Hello, Patriot fans, and welcome to episode 6 of Patriot Memories. And today, you guys will be in for a real treat. Of course, when I started gathering people who I think I want to interview, there's some few that even went to Winston before either I was born or I was too young to remember. And fortunately, how it went is I was thinking, oh, let's have so-and-so get on. I sent them a message on Facebook, and fortunately, I got one of them, and here it is, ladies and gentlemen. She's now the current head coach of the Golden Eagles of Tennessee Tech University and a graduate of Winston Academy. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to have as my guest Coach Kim Rosamond. Coach, how are you today?
I'm great, Matthew. Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. All you had to do was mention Winston Academy, and I was all in. So it's my honor and privilege to be able to come on and talk about a very, very special time in my life and a very special place. And hey, I want to commend you for what you're doing. You went through all that about people and things like that. That just means I'm old, right? Coaches and players that before you were born. So that means I'm a little old here, but it's nice to still be remembered. And so what you are doing for all of us old heads and the ones that have just recently graduated is really special. And so it's been fun to watch your interviews and fun to catch up on a lot of people that I care about, and watch Tyler Sullivan, and goodness, what a outstanding young man he is, and how he's going to make his mark on this world. And to see Coach Anderson, Coach Anderson came right after I graduated, but he is still and always will be one of my favorite people. And so to get to catch up on him has been really cool. So anyway, thank you for what you're doing. I think it's awesome.
I appreciate it very much. And now I have this little saying: you're not particularly old, but you're not getting older. You're getting better, and that's kind of like how all of us are.
I
so
like that.
all right, let's get started. Well, for anybody that grew up before or after you went to school, would you mind give us a brief synopsis about yourself, what year you graduated from Winston, and pretty much a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, I graduated from Winston Academy in 1993. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, but I know it was. And I was a Winston Academy kid my whole life. I went there in the first grade and finished there in 93, and then was fortunate enough my sophomore year in high school, a guy by the name of John Chancellor got the head job, women's basketball job there at the academy, and his dad was the legendary Coach Van Chancellor at Ole Miss, and that had been my dream ever since I went to camp there in the third grade. I came back and I still have my little diary where I wrote in it that one day I'd be an Ole Miss Lady Rebel. And so God put people in my life that opened that door up, and so I was fortunate to go play. I played for Coach Chancellor for 4 years, and then my senior year, another legendary coach, Ron Aldi, who coached for years at Kirk Academy and won state championship after state championship. He came in from Florida. He was the associate head. He had moved on from Kirk to Florida, and then as the associate head coach, and then became the head coach at Ole Miss. And so I finished my 5th year under Coach Aldi, and he gave me my first coaching job, and so got to coach for him for 5 years, which was really special. Played for Coach Chancellor for 4 years, and played for two legendary coaches at Ole Miss, and then coached for 5 years at Ole Miss as a young coach, kind of just learning the ropes, and then went on to 2 years at Middle Tennessee. Had a lot of success there with the head coach that I coached under, and Stephanie Smith. We won I was part of two championship teams there, and she got the head job at Alabama. And by that point, I had turned 30. And at that point, I said that, if I didn't know I wanted to be a head coach, I might take – I didn't know if I wanted to stay in coaching. So I actually took 2 years off. So my journey is a little bit different. I actually got out of coaching for 2 years. I did athletic team sales for a year and actually did pharmaceutical sales for a year. And it only took 2 years of going away from my purpose to realize that was where I was supposed to be. So was fortunate enough to get back in 2007 as the assistant coach and recruiting coordinator at Vanderbilt for Melanie Balcom, and worked for her for 9 years. And we're part of a lot of successful teams there. And then was fortunate enough to become the head coach in 2016 here at Tennessee Tech. And so we just completed our 4th year here at Tennessee Tech.
Yeah, of course. I know of Van Chancellor because not only he coached at Ole Miss, but also he was the coach of the Houston Comets that they've won the first 4 WNBA championship with the likes of, like, was it Cynthia Cooper and Cheryl Swoops? And
I'm impressed. Yeah, I am very, very impressed. Yeah, Coach Chancellor actually left I redshirted my first year, and my going into my 5th year that summer was they were just starting the WNBA and are starting to put teams together. They were going to play the following summer, the first season the following summer. And Coach Chancellor got the job and left, and that's when Coach Aldi came. But Coach Chancellor is also a Louisville native. Actually, I think he graduated from Louisville High School, grew up in Nanawoya, and is a Louisville native. So we've got all kind of great connections on the coaching profession from Louisville.
Of course, over the last few years, a lot of people said that the city of Louisville has been the cradle of coaches, not only yourself, but also Mark Hudspeth, who's at Austin P, Matthew Mitchell at University of Kentucky women's, and then Andy Kennedy, who's, I think he went back to his alma mater at UAB.
At UAB, yep, he actually did. And there was a time where all of us, Andy, Mark, and Matthew, we were all at Winston Academy together at the same time. Now, how crazy is that? And not just also, there's so many people from Louisville. Brad Peterson, I believe is now still at Mississippi State. Chris
Brad
Croft, who went to Winston Academy, coached for many years at the college. I mean, I could just go on and on. And, Matthew, a lot of people have asked me why, what is it about Louisville? And, the best way I can explain to them is, that where we grew up, and it's like this in a lot of small towns, but especially in Louisville, it was faith, it was family, and it was sports. And that was what our worlds revolved around. But what I think made it so special was we had some unbelievable coaches during that time when we were growing up that just poured into all of us as young people. And this may be one of the questions you're going to ask me, but I can't talk about my journey at Winston Academy without talking about Coach Bud Turner. And I hope that is a name that you have heard of, because he was a giant of a man and a giant of a coach, a Hall of Fame coach, but also a Hall of Fame person. And when I started at Winston Academy, I don't know if they still have this, but we had Pee Wee basketball. You started do they still have that?
We still do, but we in the more recent years we've been playing like girls and boys. They've played at schools like Oak Hill and Heritage and Starville Academy and the like. Yeah, we still have that.
Yeah. Well, it was such a great feeder program, and they started us in the 3rd grade, and that was really where my love started for basketball. And it was on those Saturday mornings, and Matthew Bud Turner, he would open up the gym. He would open it up every Saturday morning at 7:45, and I'd be there at 7:30 sitting there waiting to get in the gym. He actually coached my mom. He was my mom's high school coach for a while, but he's in the Mississippi Coaches Hall of Fame, and he passed away last February, and it was in the middle of our season, and I wasn't able to attend. But just Such a special person and coach. And not only was he a great coach, but just all the life lessons that even as a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth grader that he taught me about sportsmanship, about respect, about respecting your opponent. I can remember being at Kemper Academy. We were about in the fifth grade, and I remember we did a cheer that Coach Turner didn't like too much. I think it had something to do with roll Kemper roll right on down the toilet bowl or something like that. And Coach Turner, boy, that did not sit well with Coach Turner. So we ran a lot of line drills after we did that. But he was a man that he respected the game. He respected the players. He respected the opponents. And he just, he taught me so much. And till this day has impacted my life in a lot of ways. So it was people like Coach Turner. I know Mark spoke at his funeral. Mark Husband spoke at his funeral, but it was men like Coach Turner that just poured into us that I think really shaped so many of our lives.
Yeah, I've been recently I'm friends now with his youngest son, Nick, and he been seeing some of the videos he posted about Coach Turner, and I'm saying it's way before my time, but I've always been intrigued with seeing older stuff, because that's usually the building blocks to what made the school what it is now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nick and I we went to high school together, and he was a good friend of mine in high school, and a really good guy.
All right, well, there's a couple of questions I want to ask you. Other than Coach Turner, and who were some of the some of the coaches or teachers that has brought a good influence in your life while you were at Winston?
Goodness, there were so many, because like I said, to me, that's what makes Winston so special, is the people. And there were so many people that just invested and poured into us, and were just such servant leaders at Winston Academy. Coach Turner being at the top, Barry Gray and Lindy Gray, again, another Hall of Famer. Coach Gray was just inducted into the MPSA and Hall of Fame this summer. He and Lindy was my junior high coach, and then I got Coach Gray for a year in high school. And, he's gone on to win state championship after state championship. He's now in Tennessee now, but he had a huge impact on me. There were so many people within Winston. I think about Coach Ray Hartness. We lost him, I think it was my senior year in high school, but Coach Hartness was our assistant coach, and he was also our bus driver. And what a good man Coach Hartness was. TJ Jennings, who was a baseball coach.
I know TJ real well.
I know you know Coach Jennings. Yeah.
I know TJ real well.
I spent a lot of afternoons at Coach Jennings' house. He never coached me, but he was really like a father figure to me, and we were really, really close. I think about and Wendell Womack. He wasn't. I
know Wendell as well.
Wendell wasn't a coach, but was always really close to him. And teachers. There were so many teachers, so I hate to start naming, but one that stands out to me, Miss Boydston, who was my third and fourth grade teacher. Did you have her, Matthew, at all?
Unfortunately, I didn't, but of course, she's, even though she's not teaching anymore, she's always there at the ball games, taking up money. That's what she's been doing in the last several years. So, yes.
Yeah.
And,
you talk about people that love Winston Academy. Miss Boydston does. We actually played this past year. Our team played at Sanford in Birmingham this past year, and her son Lee, who I also went to high school, and Miss Boydston showed up at that game. And I'll tell you what, I was about in tears afterwards. Just after all these years, that just tells you the people there. That after all these years, they would show up to support you. Miss Brenda Sinclair, who taught me in sixth grade. I was extremely close with her. Miss Evelyn Thompson. All of us during that time, any of us that can type, my typing skills are from Miss Evelyn Thompson, because that was her thing, and she passed away a couple years ago.
Yeah, she was still there when I was in junior high and high school. And of course,
Yeah.
not to brag or anything, there's one teacher that you probably had as well for English, even though I wasn't the best English student. And of course, that's when she was there, it was Barbara Smith, but it's Barbara Kemp now. And I tell her, I credit her for, well, the proverbial out of the comfort zone, and not only doing this, but also for the last 12 years have been announcing all the sports over at Winston Academy.
Yeah. No, and Barbara was there. Barbara she was a very, very young teacher then. I think she had just started teaching. She wasn't a ton older than us. I actually, her sister Christy was in my class. And so, you know, while I still have my Mississippi accent and my country twang, my grammar is I'm able to do some interviews and press stuff because my grammar is okay, and I credit Miss Smith for that. So no doubt, Barbara was a very good teacher as well.
All right, well, I know there's probably too many to name, but what were some of your favorite memories, like being on the basketball court? Did you just play basketball at Winston, or did you play like softball or run track?
No, you don't do just one thing at Winston. You do, you play every sport. At least when I was there, you played every sport there was. There wasn't a lot of us. You know, we only had 35 in our class, and we actually had one of the larger classes back then. So you played every sport. You know, obviously basketball was my love, but I went from basketball to softball to track to tennis. So I think probably the only thing that I did not play was golf. So I played a little bit of it all.
So what was some of your favorite memories, like whether it's a big game or just being with your teammates or whatever?
Yeah. Well, there's like you said, there's so many, it's hard to name all of them. I mean, I guess from a sports perspective, probably my favorite year, I could probably sum it up better in a favorite year, was my junior year. I believe that was 91 to 92. Goodness, Matthew, I'm old. When you start talking about dates, you realize how old you are. But my junior year in high school was a really special year for all of us at Winston that year. You know, the girls basketball program, from the time I was in first grade through when I graduated, we were really, really good. The expectation every year was, you know, you were going to win 25 games a year, and you were going to go to the state tournament. And that started with Mary Davis, who is now Mary Davis Triplet, Coach Les Triplet's wife. I know Les.
I don't know Mary, but I know Les because he runs the well, it's now called the MAIS. Like back then, and even when I was younger, it was the MPSA. But
MPSA. Yep, I can't remember all the abbreviations, but Coach, and she'll always be Coach Davis to me. I saw her at the Hall of Fame deal this summer, and I still call her Coach Davis to this day. But you know, she had built just such a successful program there at Winston, and so you know, so the girls program was always good, but that junior year was really special because the football team, Herbert Davis came for 1 year. Herbert, who's now at just won the state championship at MRA.
MRA, yes.
And he came for 1 year, and Herbert and I are still close to this day. And you know, he led us to the football team went undefeated through the state championship game that year. And they were phenomenal offensively. I actually wrote back then. They had I don't know if they still do, but the Winston County Journal had a student that wrote about covered the football team, and so I wrote every article that year on the football team. That's also how I was so close to Wendell, because you know I'd get the stats from Wendell after every game, and then I would cover them. But I just had a really great team. Todd Vowell was a quarterback. Clay Curtis had transferred in, and he just tore the Academy League up that year at receiver. Brad Atkinson at running back. Shay Taylor on the line. I mean, I could go down the list. There were so many. There were only about 18 of them, and I think they played on. They didn't come off the field But it was such a good team, and they lost. I think Clay hurt his ankle the game before the state championship game, or I'm still convinced they would have been state champions that year. So he was hobbled in that game and didn't have the speed that he normally had. But they played in the football team played in the state championship that year. Our girls basketball team played for the state championship that year. I think we were only the second team, I think, in school history to play for the state championship at that point. And that was my goal. I don't have a lot of regrets in life, but the one regret that I have is that we weren't able to accomplish that goal. That was a goal that I had set, that we would win the first girls state championship at Winston Academy. And I don't think they've won one yet. Have they, Matthew?
I don't think so. I know about 3 or 4 years ago, we made it to maybe it was 5 years ago. I'm not sure, but we had a team that made it to the semifinals at the state tournament, and we lost and finished fourth. And then recently they've only taken the top 3 teams, and I'm hoping with all this new crop of players, hopefully we'll get back to the glory days.
Yeah. Well, if any of them are listening, I challenge them to make history, to work hard and make history, because we've had a lot of great teams there, but never won a state championship, and that's probably one of my few regrets in life. But we played for the state championship that year. Our baseball team was really good. Coach Rigby and the boys team were really good. It was just one of those special years, and just a really fun year all around. So as far as the winning on the court, that was probably one of the best years that I ever went through at the academy. But goodness, I've got so many stories off the court from the Bluebird bus. I'm sure they've probably gotten rid of the Bluebird because it used to break down on us on every trip.
I think my second year at Winston was third grade, maybe, or fourth grade. I'm not sure. They got rid of the Bluebird, and now it's like a red, white, and blue bus. But
yeah. Well, the Bluebird needed to be retired probably when I was in junior high, but we rode it. we rode it up until my junior year. Poor Coach Hartness. I mean, he would somehow he got us to where we were going. I don't know how, but we had more bus breakdowns. Sunday afternoons, I can remember going to church, and then as soon as church was over, you'd come home and you'd eat, and then you'd be in the gym from 2 until 8 at night, just all the pickup games and all the fun we had there. But probably one of my favorite stories off the court, at Winston, you're so close, with everybody, and everybody knows everybody. But we had a group of girls in my class, that we all played together, and we were all best friends. And one of my very best friends was Jolie Eubanks, who's now Jolie D'Antonio now. It's Jamie Eubanks' sister, Ronnie Eubanks' daughter.
Yeah, Ronnie and Cindy Eubanks, yes.
Yep. And they are family to me in every way. And Jamie was one of the best girls that ever came through there as far as girls basketball players at Winston. I think Jamie broke a lot of records, set a lot of records. Well, Jolie was not on the athletic side, okay, but she played, and she was on the team with us. And so it's my junior year, we were playing Leak, and I know that Leak is still – are they still a big rival for Winston?
They still are, and even though the only bad thing is Joel Wolverton is not there anymore.
Yeah. Well, that he was there then, and they were one of the best teams. In fact, my junior year, they were ranked number 1 in the state. And so we were playing them it was non-conference because we were Class A and they were 2A, but we played them every year. And so we were playing them on a Saturday night. Well, that Saturday, I rode to Starkville to have a pregame meal at one of my favorite places, and came home, and I think we always played around 6 or 6:30, but I wasn't feeling real well. Well, by the time I was about to leave to go to the gym, I got really sick and I started throwing up. Well, come to find out, I had food poisoning. But there was no way that I was not going to play in this game. But I called Jolie on my way there because she was my BFF. She was my sidekick. So I called her and told her I wasn't feeling good. And she was also she also, when I would come out of the game, she would go in for me a lot of times. And so I called her and told her I wasn't feeling good. Well, by the time I got to the gym, and you've probably never been in the locker room. I don't know what it looks like now, but I can still picture it in my head right now. There was an old painted blue table. So you walked in, and on the right was the junior high girls locker room, then the high school girls, and then it was a big open area. I want to say at one time that was even the visitors locker room. They would put the visitors out there, but there was an old big blue table, and there was a heater that was coming out of the wall, and it was huge. So it was always so cold in there. So we would get under the heat. We would lay on that table and get under the heater to warm up. I actually told this story at Jolie's rehearsal dinner the night of her wedding. So I had called her. When I came into the locker room, she was laying on the table underneath the heater. So I'm running back and forth to the bathroom because I'm sick, and I couldn't understand what she was doing. Well, come to find out, right before the game, she's thinking I'm not going to be able to play. So right before the game, she comes up and says she has 105 temperature, and she can't play. So she stays under the heater for the game. Well, I end up playing, blah blah blah, all that, and I don't even remember if we. I don't think we won that game. They were number one in the state, so I would have definitely remembered if we'd have knocked them off. But miraculously, after the game, Jolie's up and ready and got her makeup on and is ready to go. Back then, Matthew, we cruised the strip. We cruised from the Sonic to Walmart parking lot. That was where we hung out. And so when we went to the Pizza Hut, and so Jolie was ready to go to the Pizza Hut after the game. She had a miraculous recovery. Well, years later, she tells me that she did not want to play against the number one team in the state. So she got under that heater and acquired 105 degree temperature, so she wouldn't have to go in that game. So that we still laugh about that to this day. But those are the things you remember. It's the people and your experiences with them, and just some really fun, special times, some stories that I can't tell, and some that you can, but it always just brings a smile to your face.
Well, I did have someone told me when I told him I was interviewing you, he wanted me to mention like your senior year when you Coach Chancellor had you scrimmage against it was ninth graders. His name is Ron Parks, and he was a freshman and you were a senior, and he wanted me to ask you about those times y'all scrimmage against the JV boys.
Listen, Ryan Parks would come in every day after his practice and practice with us. And we had such a great crew of guys that would come in and make us better every day. And tell Ryan that I said he still couldn't beat me one-on-one. even though I'm old and can't run much anymore. Tell him he still can't beat me one-on-one.
I'll tell him that. Well,
maybe he could beat me one-on-one, just not in horse. He couldn't beat me in horse.
Well, I know. So how was your time at Winston Academy help you? I said for you to play basketball at Ole Miss, or being a coach at at Middle Tennessee, Vanderbilt, and now at Tennessee Tech.
And I truly mean this when I say it. Like I wouldn't be sitting at this desk today if it wasn't for the people at Winston Academy that just poured into my life, that poured into me as a young woman. It has shaped me in so many ways. The life lessons that I was taught there. I loved that it is a school of faith. That every day, we talked about our faith. It was something that, really I've carried on with me throughout my life. That was a big part of every day at Winston Academy. But just the life lessons that I was taught there, the people, we call our culture at our program the SOAR culture. And the S in SOAR stands for serve others. The O stands for own it. Don't whine, don't complain, don't make excuses. You may not be to blame for everything that happens in your life, but you're responsible for everything in your life. The A is for acquire knowledge. Your mind is your most powerful weapon, and you need to learn how to use it. And then the R is for respond positive. Don't react to things, but learn how to respond to things in life. And those are things that I learned, as as a young kid at Winston Academy. It may not have been put in those terms, but it was things that it was a standard that I was held to every day in the classroom, on the court, socially, spiritually. And there was a standard that was set, and and you had people that helped you rise up to meet that standard every day. And then when you didn't, they held you accountable. And I'm just so appreciative for my time there and the values that I learned. We have 6 core values in our program today, and I'm telling you, I learned them during my time at Winston Academy. So I would not be in the position that I am today had I not met the people, been with the people that I was with during that time, and it's a very, very special time in my life.
Well, before we go, I got one more question. What kind of advice that you want to give to current and future students at Winston Academy on how to be successful in life, other than what you just told us?
Yeah, I'll just share this with you. We don't have. I'm not a rules-based coach. We don't have a list of rules in our program, but we have one rule, and it's kind of like our golden rule. Okay, and it's leave it better than you found it. And it's how I've tried to live my life in every way. And I think if, whether you're 12 years old, whether you're 18 or whether you're 40, that's something that can be applied to life, that if you can, whether it's a locker room, a classroom, a meeting room, a boardroom, if you can leave that room better than you found it in every way, leave the people in that room better than you found it. When you enter a day, at the end of the day, are you leaving that day better than you went into it? Have you grown? Have you tried to serve other people in that day? Have you tried to lift others up? And I think if you can approach life, period, in that way, just from a servant leadership standpoint, and just trying to make the people, this world, a better place in your own little bubble, then that's a pretty powerful, imprint and footprint that you can leave. And so, that would be my thing, that I would tell them. I think sometimes as a 15, 16-year-old, I don't know that I thought about life in those terms, because you feel like you're going to be young forever. But, just thinking about, the way when you graduate from Winston Academy, what do you want your imprint or your footprint to be at Winston Academy? And I hope that you do want to leave it better than you found it. The last thing I would probably say is that excellence is not an event, it's a lifestyle. And that was something that was taught to me early on at Winston Academy, was to try to achieve excellence, not perfection, but excellence in everything that you do. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you cut corners, in the classroom, academics might not be as important to you right now as athletics are. But if you cut corners in the classroom, eventually you're going to cut corners in the weight room, or you're going to cut corners on the court or on the field. So just, trying to live your life in the sense of you shoot for excellence in all you do. And it's not an event. It's not a sometime thing. It's literally a lifestyle. It's an everyday thing. So that would probably be the best advice that I could leave for them.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule. I know a couple of times you had to reschedule, but like I said, I'm always open. Like if something happens, that they let me know like directly, and that way I can find something else. And one more thing I want to say, I want to wish y'all the best of luck in the upcoming season for basketball. And with all this coronavirus thing is, hopefully they'll have some fans for the upcoming season.
I know that's what we're hoping for, and we'll get to the other side of this, and hopefully we'll all come out better for it in every way. Before I go, I wanted to thank you again, Matthew, for having me on. And I don't get home. I don't get to come home as much as I would like to, or I used to, but I still feel very connected there from the people that that still call and text, and I've had so many friends and family from Louisville that have come up in the last several years to support me and our team. And whenever we play back at home, you know, people always make it a point to come. I know my mother keeps everybody updated on Facebook about how we're doing. So it's, you know, Louisville, Winston Academy, that's just a really, really special place. I know I've used that word a lot, but that's probably, I don't know that there's a better word for it. And it's because of the people, you know, and along with Winston Academy, you know, I still keep up the success that Louisville High School and Nanawoya and Noxapater have all had. You know, it just, what a great sports community that we have there. And, you know, how blessed and fortunate I was to grow up in a place like Louisville. And, you know, I just, I send my love and my thoughts to everybody back home. And just, I hope they all know that how much I still appreciate them and think about them.
Well, I'll tell you this, you'll have a new supporter too, for the upcoming season, and you're talking to him right now.
Well, thanks so much, Matthew. You keep doing great things, man. Okay. And thanks so much for doing this for all of us.
I appreciate it. And we'll stay in touch.
Okay. Sounds great. Thanks, Matthew.
Thank you.